So, having been on social media for over 5 years now and coached over 500 people start their own online e-commerce businesses, you start to see trends and things that make people in common, the ones that are actually successful and the ones that unfortunately are quite destined to fail. And having now done it 500 times, time and time again, you really start to pick up on these things. And in today's video, what I want to do is just cover some of the things that I have picked up having mentored so many people in starting their own online e-commerce businesses. Now, I personally have mentored people around the e-commerce side, i.e. how to start selling on Amazon. However, what I'm about to speak to you guys really applies to pretty much any business that you want to start online. So by watching this from start to finish, it will get you to think about, okay, can I do about any of these potential weaknesses that I may have right now with myself to increase my chances of success as much as possible? So with that being said, let's get straight to it. And the very first one is actually quite an interesting one because the vast majority of my most successful clients have actually been not alone. In other words, they have had some sort of a partner, a friend, a family member that they went into business with. And there are so many advantages to it. The first one being accountability. At the end of the day, if you are doing all of the work, the other person will be essentially kind of pushed into doing as much work as possible, especially if you're into this business 50-50. So for example, I had this client where essentially the client had him and his wife, okay? The wife was responsible for doing product research, from speaking to suppliers and potentially negotiating the prices. And then he himself was responsible for all of the pricing. He was responsible for the ads. He was responsible for speaking with Amazon and getting things done and basically resolving any problems. They had very, very distinct differences, strengths and weaknesses, and given that they were able to leverage one of another, made them really, really successful. So successful that in the first year, in January, they were at zero, and by the end of the year, they were at on £180,000 in terms of revenue made. Not bad, right? Then the next thing, besides the accountability, is the fact that sometimes you will push each other. So you may not have a good, time. You may have problems with your family. You may have something. Then the slack can be picked off by your partner and vice versa. And also, let's be honest, when it comes to business, sometimes business can be very, very lonely, and it can be also very overwhelming with so much to learn. So why not partner up with somebody that has the skills that you may not have, and therefore increase your chances of success just that much more? However, with that being said, there is a con to this as well, and there's quite a big one, because you have to be really, really careful with who you choose to go into online business with, or just matter of fact, any business with, now that I think about it. Because if you choose the wrong partner, let's say they say, you're going to be the best, it all sounds great in the very beginning, but as you go into business with somebody, you tend to learn more and more about them. And what you learn, you may not like. You may realize that you are doing 80% of the work, yet the revenue is split 50-50. You may realize that they're not as good as a certain thing that they promise you they will be, as good as you thought. And now you have to hire somebody and get them to do that thing in the end. So be very, very careful with who you choose to go into business with, and also make sure that you have split responsibilities and a very clear line drawn in the sand and to who's responsible for what, to make sure that everything gets done on time. Now, the next big problem that a lot of new entrepreneurs start is essentially they really go into this entrepreneurial path saying, hey, I want to scale up as quickly as possible. So I need to do is essentially hire for every part of the business. So I will give you another example. I basically had a student that has come in with a slightly higher budget than usual. Now, most people that start their online businesses, they will start with anything between £1,000 to £5,000. This particular person had £15,000. And what happened is that he wasn't really interested in learning and how to do the product research, how to speak suppliers, how to essentially get your very first listing or whatever, right? What he was interested in is that, who do I hire and how do I make sure that I build a company from this straight away? Now, yes, this is the right mindset a few steps later down the line, but he was skipping the first big part, which was to understand the business inside out in the very beginning. Because if you don't understand how to do product research, if you don't understand what is a good product from a bad product, if you don't understand how to speak to suppliers and so on, then you are destined for failure. Because guess what? Nobody ever is going to care about your online business as much as you do. No matter how much you pay them, no matter how much potentially even equity you give them, if you are starting your business and that is your baby, what you want to make a big success out of, everybody else is just a complementary piece to your business, but don't expect them to care about it as much as you do. So in my opinion, if you were to start any online business, any online coaching offer or anything at all, right? Yes, you do want to hire as soon as possible, but you have to make sure that you understand what every part of the business is supposed to do, what good looks like. So when things don't get done the way they want them to get done, you know exactly who to blame, you know exactly who to come after, because sometimes employees will not do their best job. Sometimes they will take a step off the gas and essentially do the minimum possible, you know, in order to get paid, and you to be knowledgeable enough in order to figure out what's good, what's working, what's not, and who needs to potentially be replaced. Now, the next one that really has impacted so many people, and those is actually the majority of the reasons why people actually fail at online business, whether it's a mentorship business, a coaching offer, an e-commerce business, an online business, or whatever it is, it's actually shifting that mindset from going from a 9 to 5 and getting paid at the end of each and every single month and actually getting paid by the market. See, what happens is that in a 9 to 5, you do your 40 hours, you have your weekends, you have your holidays, and you're expecting a payment, exactly the same payment. Maybe you're getting a bonus, maybe you're getting a commission each and every single month for how much work you've done, but you know how much money you're going to get at the end of each and every single month. So therefore your finances are quite predictable. Well, when it comes to actually working on your own business, it may sound quite straightforward and something that you may not struggle with at all, but when the reality sets in, you actually realize that, hey, it doesn't matter how much effort I put into something. If the market doesn't appreciate it, and if it's not exactly what the market desires, I will not get paid. And people really struggle with the idea that, hey, I might be doing all of this work, I might be putting in so much time, so much graft into this thing potentially, and I may not get paid. Like, for example, in my case, when I started with Amazon, right, I started it in June of 2018. I started it with £2,000, and it took me 2.5 years to see any money out, because everything that I was doing, I was literally just replacing that money. It kind of felt like monopoly money, where money was coming in and money was going back out to buy more products. Money was coming in from the revenues and the profits, and money was coming out again. And could you just imagine yourself working essentially for free for 2.5 years and not getting paid for it whatsoever? Now, this to me felt like monopoly money, to be completely honest. And for a lot of people, they either struggle with that idea because some products will not do well and potentially fail and lose you money. And also what happened is that, you know, I just had to be patient. And then when I actually did start taking money out 2.5 years later, I was only taking the very minimum possible amount to make sure that the business still had enough capital to keep on growing and employing more people and getting more products. So if you're going to go into this online business, if you're going to start something of your own, you have to be very, very comfortable with the idea of not getting paid for an extended period of time. So anybody that says to you, hey, you're going to make 6 figures this year, hey, you're going to get your first clients within the next 5 to 10 weeks or something like that, the chances are that's not going to happen, especially if you have never ran an online business before and all of this is quite new to you, because there is so much to learn and so much to invest in the very beginning in terms of money and time, and you don't see that return usually as quickly as you think you will, and therefore you have to be very, very well prepared for it. So make sure you are mentally prepared for it, but also you have enough savings to last you for quite some time until those things actually kick in and actually you start seeing a return at the end of the tunnel. Now, another reason why a lot of people fail with online businesses, side hustles, coaching, or anything like that is the fact that they just get sold into the dream, okay? They get seen by a person who's standing in front of a Lamborghini, a massive mansion, or, you know, having a mastermind in Dubai or whatever. And they say, hey, if you're just joining my program, if you're going to do this and this, you're going to make money today or tomorrow or next week and so on. And when things are tough, when things are potentially not that great and you don't have that much money in your savings and you don't exactly know what to do, you tend to be far more gullible for these sort of too good to be true offers. The reality is, it is. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. And for a lot of people out there, and there are so many stories out that I have heard where people just don't get what they were expecting. They pay so much money into a potential course, and then they realize that, hey, what I was sold to, that I'm going to be making money tomorrow, isn't actually the case, that there is a lot of work in the process. And that was exactly in my case as well. I was actually, when I started off in 2018, I was started just literally watching videos just like you on YouTube right now about various different business models, and I stumbled across Amazon FBA. And what I really enjoyed about Amazon FBA is the fact that, hey, you don't have to get started with a lot of money, okay? All the customers are already there because Amazon was already big at the time, so I don't have to acquire customers, and I don't even have to hold on to my inventory, so which sounded amazing. So I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna go buy this course because they were promising that you're going to do really well very, very quickly. And when I did buy the course, there were loads of modules and there were so many videos that I actually realized how much more there is to it, how much time it takes to actually find the product that's going to be profitable, how much time it takes to actually find the suppliers that are going to, you know, get your product at the right price to actually make money, how difficult it is to create a product listing, how difficult it is to advertise. So when it comes to starting an online business, you may see all of the good, i.e. the results, the Lambos, the mansions, the money, but what you don't see is all of the bad, all of the hard graft that people most of the time put in for years sometimes in order to see anything to come through. So you have to think for yourself, are you ready for that graft? Because if you're not, if you have a lot of commitments, let's say with family, with friends, with kids or whatever, then it may not be the best business model for you, and therefore you may just be better at, you know, working your corporate ladder job into a 9-to-5 or whatever. Because hey, not necessarily being an entrepreneur isn't necessarily a bad thing. Being a number 2 or number 3 or number 4 in a company sometimes is actually quite good, and something that I wish for myself, to be honest, because if you're the entrepreneur and you're starting the online business that you want to do, you will be essentially responsible for every single decision in that business. If the business fails, it's on you. If the business succeeds, it's also on you. But that sounds great in theory, but in reality are you ready for that sort of type of pressure? And for most people, that's not the pressure that you want. You're much better off being number 2, number 3, number 4, and you're already working business and working your way up. You know, think about it. The number 2, 3, 4, and 5 in Tesla, Meta, Apple, Google, I am pretty sure they're doing quite well for themselves. And also you have to remember this, is that whenever everything is being advertised online and there is no barrier to entry and everybody can get started, chances are that the barrier to entry is low. That means that there is going to be a ton of competition out there. So sometimes just use your logic, okay? If it sounds too good to be true and literally you can start a business with next to nothing, that means either A, it's just too competitive, B, you're too late at it, and C, people are just selling you a course on something that they know is not going to work for you. Always stay vigilant and do a lot more research than just watching one video and going into something completely blindfolded. And then last but not least, whatever it is you do, whatever business you choose, okay, whether it's coaching, whether it's mentorships, whether it's social media, an e-commerce business, whatever, every business, if you're going to take it seriously, there will be problems along the way. Now, I could do a whole YouTube video just on the amount of problems, scams, people messing me over. I could do literally a 30-minute video just on those stories alone. But let me tell you this, is that there will be issues along the way. You will lose money, you will lose sleep, okay, no matter what you choose. That's just a fact. But the reality is this, and there is a very good saying about this: the problem is never the problem. The problem is your attitude towards the problem. Okay, so how do you react to these issues is what really matters. And the truth is, there is a lot of people out there that at the first hurdle, at the first sign of trouble, they would quickly cave in, they will give up, and they will just move back to their comfort zone. So you have to think for yourself, and sometimes even ask people around you, do they think you're capable of doing this business? Do they think you have the perseverance and the necessary grit it takes to persevere when things get tough, when problems come in? Because I, for example, very quick problem that I can share with you guys is that I've been running an Amazon FBA business for 6 years. 90% of my money was coming from Amazon at one time. All of my revenue, my livelihood was coming from Amazon. And then one day I wake up and my Amazon account was banned. I was not getting paid anything at all. Okay, now there was problems with security, somebody was impersonating me, there was email issues and all that sort of stuff, and it took me a week to get that sorted. But just imagine building something up for 4 years and they're just having it banned. How would you react? I bet you would lose a little bit of sleep. I bet you would be a little bit worried. I bet some of you may actually think of just caving in, packing in, and just, going back to your regular 9 to 5 because that was your comfort zone. Another time, for example, I had somebody sue me as well. I had somebody sue me for trademark issues and copyright issues because they thought I was copying their product, and therefore they wanted all of the revenues and all of the profits for all of the, the things that I was paying. I was selling this product for 2 years. They got a whiff of it. They thought they can basically just take my money because I was apparently trademark infringing them, and they thought they will get away with it. Well, obviously they didn't. But once again, once you start getting those letters through and those threatening emails, that again can cause a lot of stress. And the truth is, a lot of people shy away from stress, shy away from all of those painful experiences and painful periods in your life. What would you do? Would you persevere and fight through it? Or would you actually cave in? It's completely up to you. So with that being said, that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you found it useful, and please do comment down below if you want to see more videos like this where I share just the raw truth of me being on social media and me being on online business for now 7 years, and telling you the harsh truth of what's real and what's not. Because sometimes, like I said, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. If the barrier to entry is so low, it's probably not the right business for you. So really dig deep, think about it, research more than necessary, really get an understanding of what the business is that you're getting yourself into, and stay safe.